Riggy versus SNES. I'm going to try and make this one quite quick. So the winner is SNES for me. And I'll tell you why. Hodgson's promo was really, really good. Until his promo was solid, right? And then there's a part in his promo where he transitions to doing a SNES on SNES, right? So he starts doing this. It's really good. He pulls up the background of several games and he starts to hit SNES with loads of references and pretty comical things to say. Really just tearing into his gimmick quite a bit. The problem is, Hodge needed so many cuts. It was like every time he landed a punchline, it cut. And it cut. And it kept cutting. Like that. Right, so it destroys the momentum for me because it's like, okay, so you couldn't even memorize what to say or do it off the top of the dome. You had to literally keep cutting it to say it. So for me, that destroys the momentum of the promo right there. If you hadn't have done that, it would have been genius. It would have been promo greatness, and it would have been a way to just totally dissect SNES. So the idea was fantastic, but the execution failed massively. So I just can't give you any credit for this promo because if you'd have just dedicated to doing more takes or learning what to say and just committing it to memory, it would have been so much more superior, but in the end, it was lazy. And I can't reward laziness, especially at this level where we were trying to achieve the highest level in the game. It's not acceptable. SNES did what SNES does, and he did it great. His entire metaphor of his promo using gaming references was a metaphor to basically suggest that Hodge is a tag team wrestler, that he's always been under the shadow of bigger, better people that have made him look great. And that as a solo promo, as a solo wrestler, now trying a singles run, it doesn't work. It presents itself well, and he uses really, really funny case. I mean, there it is. Said itself, it looks really good, but actually, when you get down to it, Hodgson is nothing special. That is, he's just a mid-card talent. He's just not very good, and now it's out there for the whole world to see because he's not being carried by bigger, greater people. It's a narrative which really does cut Hodgson down. It's like, who are you really if you're not connected to people like Haywood and other people? Like, who are you really? Can you cut it at the high level as Hodgson? And he does a really good job of tying in the references to sell this narrative, and it works. And again, look, I know it might sound nitpicky, but cuts are going to cost you, man. If you need cuts at this high level to get a promo out, it's going to cost you. It doesn't matter how great the idea is. Commit it to memory. This is a high standard we're reaching for. Commit it to memory, because if you don't, it ruins it. Because there's nothing creative or clever, smart about just doing that. Anyone can do that. Think of a good line to say, and then cut it, and then just keep doing it until you get it right. Cut it again. Think of another line to say. It destroys it at that point. In real professional wrestling promos, they don't get that much production. Imagine if you're standing in front of Mean Gene and he has the mic to your face and he's interviewing you backstage. You don't get to do all these cuts. So just a bit tidier work from Hodgson would have made his promo infinitely better. But as it stands, SNES clear winner, hands down. Phil Marshall versus Vagabond. This was an interesting match. So I'll start with Phil. Phil's presentation is a joke. At this point, he operates on a level so far above that you can't even hope to compare or compete with him when it comes to presentation, which has always been the case with Phil, but now with AI, he's took it to this stupid level. Which I expect from Phil. So, but what he does do well is his presentation isn't just there to be icing on a cake. What Phil does really well is he uses the presentation to tell a story. So it's a major part of his promo material. It's there. Every frame of it is there to fit a purpose. It's not just there to be there. It's there to excel and enhance the material. And Phil's always been great at that. But it is there as a crutch. Phil does rely so heavily on this stuff, and he knows that he's so good at it, that I think he just hopes that his flaws will go under the radar. But they don't. Like, for example, one of the major issues I had with Phil, we have all this cinematic production, right? As I've just said, it's an insane standard. But then he comes on, and he can't even look at the lens of the camera like I'm doing now. I mean, where are you looking, bruv? Well, that's terrible form. Phil isn't even attempting to look into the lens. And it's just amateur work at this level. He cannot make eye contact with the camera. Throughout his entire promo, Phil is like this. So, vagabond, you've got nothing to threaten me with.
You have nothing to threaten me with.
I mean, look, it's just the easiest thing in the world. No matter where you go, you can maintain eye contact with the fucking camera. See? Here I come. You've got nothing to threaten me with. You've got nothing to threaten me with, vagabond. Nothing to threaten me with. It's so easy. Look. Here I come. Nothing to threaten me with, vagabond. It's. I don't understand. In this industry, we have this problem. People cannot just look at the lens. Don't. It's not just Phil. People do it. Why look here? You've got nothing to threaten me with, Vago. If it's not on the lens, it's off. Even if I just go a little bit, you've got nothing to... See what I mean? No matter where I look, off. I'm not making eye contact. I'm not looking. Now I'm looking. It's... Promo 101, people. Basic stuff. And some things I really liked about his narrative. Some things I didn't. I thought... I did like that Phil puts this seed of doubt on Vagabond in his match by saying he's beaten before. He's got nothing to threaten him with. He's beaten before. So now it's the burden of proof falls to Vagabond to show everyone what he's bringing now to allow him to take Phil Marshall to the Shadow Realm, because he already avoided it. But then Phil does say something I didn't like, because it just doesn't make much sense. He says that Vagabond calls himself the Master Manipulator. And that doesn't make much sense to Phil, because there's someone else he would consider better fit for that moniker of Master Manipulator, and he just beat him for the heavyweight title. But he doesn't name drop. So unless we know who that is, defeating that person doesn't really do anything to discredit Vagabond's chances. Now, if this was a really big name in the industry, someone ruthless, someone really hard to beat, and Phil's like, well, I've just beat him, then we'd be like, well, obviously Phil's going to absolutely dog walk Vagabond. But without the name drop, it just doesn't land. But I will say the end of that promo was absolutely fire. What he did was he was like, Vagabond, even you can't beat me. You know you can't beat me. Then showed a clip, and I love it when people do this, showed a clip. Showing the clip of Vagabond saying to another opponent, the only way you could beat me is if you had talent like Phil Marshall. Absolute perfection. I love receipts like that. And the whole end of the promo was fire. In the end, it was a solid promo, visually stunning, a few issues with the eye contact, a few narrative things I didn't like, but overall, it was you could easily imagine this promo on TV. It was professional. He said enough to put a seed of doubt on Vagabond's chances. He asked questions. It was solid. Now we have Vagabond, and I'm going to start with this. I'm going to say this because I don't want to keep you going too long. Had Vagabond cut his promo without any edits, just like this, he could have cut that same promo like this, and he would have won. And I stand by that. I'll die on that hill. Because what Vagabond did is he brought a lot more verbal creativity. In terms of the spoken word, actually what was said, Vagabond was better. Far better. He slapped. However, what Vagabond did is all of his edits, unlike Phil Marshall, where his edits greatly helped and assisted and just developed the promo storytelling. Vagabond, by contrast, his edits destroyed his promo. It sounded sped up at parts. I had to keep going back to re-listen to it. The effects, they didn't work. I don't know what he was trying to achieve with all that glitching in the background and him blending into it. It just didn't work for me. The whole thing was a bit of a train wreck to watch, if I'm honest. And a promo should be easy to watch. It should be easy. I can see Phil Marshall's promo would fit on television. Vagabond's would not. And that's ultimately what I'm looking for. And it's no good saying all this great stuff. And there's a lot of great quotes in there if we can't quite hear it properly, or it's hard to pick up. It has to be clear. It has to be precise. Otherwise, it fails to do its job. So, Phil Marshall wins. Vagabond, learn how to edit, or I would advise you to stop editing altogether, or just use some music and a basic filter, because the editing stuff isn't working for you, man. It really worked against you. Your editing killed your match. It killed your chances. The moment it came on, I knew you couldn't win because of what a mess it was. So yeah, Phil Marshall, congratulations. That's it. Phil Marshall wins. Sorry, Vagabond. Maybe next time. Okay, Jay Briggy versus Cruel Intentions. This was a good one. Cruel Intentions definitely brought it in this one, but so did Briggy. It was a fun one to judge. And honestly, not a great amount in it, to be honest. What it really ultimately comes down to is, if we look at Cruel Intentions promo, he's talking a lot about what he's done in other places. That he's outshined Briggy. That he's been better than Briggy, that anytime Briggy has won titles, he's taken them, that he's been the guy in any place he's stepped up to. The problem, however, is that he's not showing that dominance right now, and his promo very much comes across like he's leaning on past glories rather than taking time to appreciate the Briggy that's facing him right now, because it doesn't really matter what has happened before. The Briggy we have right now, if this is a retirement tour, then what a catastrophe that is. Because this Briggy is the best Briggy there has ever been. And honestly, his promo was borderline flawless. We had two great promos, but one of them was right up there. Jay Briggy's was elite. There's still too much talking about merch in both these guys' promos, but it comes across as this sort of dick measuring contest of who's got more fans and who's more liked and this popularity thing. But ultimately, Jay Briggy's was just smooth. It was fluid. It was precise. As a Cruel Intentions wasn't that. It was still a good promo, but there were still moments where you could tell he was sort of reaching what to say. The good old UC did pop up, nowhere near as bad, but it did. And Jay Briggy's promo, man, was just hit after hit after hit after hit. It was everything you want from a promo, man. He has that presence. He's verbally, he just hits in all the right places, you know. And he said something on the lines of every hit he hits Cruel Intentions with, every mark, every bruise, every laceration, every damage he does to him is a signature on his flesh, which he'll remember him by. And it's like, God damn it, son. That's what I'm talking about. It was, look, good match, close match, but Briggy takes it. Overall, it was just a level above what Cruel Intentions brought. Cruel Intentions needed to maybe focus on the now a bit more. Because not sort of downplaying Briggy the way he did just hurt him in the end, because Briggy's promos have been such a good level recently that just downplaying him as just a tag team wrestler and not being good enough to basically paint him as someone who's not good enough to face Cruel Intentions didn't really work, because watching the work, that's not the case. So he needed to take Briggy a lot more seriously. Briggy did this with style, perfect execution, and a promo which honestly could beat 99.9% of people in this industry. So Briggy, well done, continuing to impress me. I mean, Jesus Christ, spectacular stuff. Cruel Intentions, good shit, good work. I'm going to have to stand for this one. Luke Thompson, the Master of Illusions versus Shady Sean McKenzie. Even Shady knows he got slapped. This was a one-sided massacre. This was the biggest shock I have ever seen. Holy shit. Okay, where do I begin? Holy shit. Luke, I don't know what the hell has happened to Luke. Look, Master of Illusions, I've always been a fan. Alright? I've often thought he needs a bit more. And this critique does stand. He still needs to lean into his gimmick more. There's so much potential with that gimmick, Master of Illusions. And I've always been a big fan of really out there gimmicks. But I digress. Luke's promo was mental. You cannot watch it without being awe-inspired. You cannot watch it with being like, holy shit. I believed every word. I bought into every fucking line. Everything he said just slapped and it hit. The music. You could feel the passion, the fire. It was a real I am here moment. Do you know what I mean? Talking about how Shady Sean McKenzie and everything that he's done, all that he's achieved does not scare him. That Shady is now just living off the relics of his past. But Luke, Master of Illusion, he's building his legacy now, brick by bloody brick. And Shady Sean McKenzie will be one brick in that legacy. What made it so good was how real and authentic it came across. It felt like these two were actually going to throw hands in the ring. Like, this was real. And when you see a promo which makes you believe it, and you forget for a moment you're watching just a video on Facebook for a fictional fed. I was watching Luke. I believed this shit was real. For a moment, I totally forgot, and I was locked in to everything this man was saying. It was by far the best promo of the night. One of the best promos I've seen in a long time. And Master of Illusions has just made a fucking statement that he is one to look out for. That with some refining and a bit more gimmick awareness, Luke has shown he can come on, turn the camera on, and outperform the best of them. That promo would have beat so many people. You know, if I was facing Luke and I saw that, I'd be like, oh shit. And another guy wants a rematch. But yeah, I'll stay in the judging panel, thanks. That was magnificent work. And look, Shady just underestimated him. Shady brought typical Shady promo, right? And it wasn't going to beat that. It wasn't. Shady knows he lost. I don't need to explain it. He knows he did. Shady's not an idiot. He can see, his eyes don't lie. He can hear fine. Anyone watching that, I dare say you bring Shady's family and ask them who won, they'd say Luke won. It was a very clear, decisive victory. I mean, Shady asked some questions, you know. Are you even, you know, taking advantage of this opportunity that you have? You know, you've not really given us any reason, you know, to hype up this match with you. Well, he certainly answered that question. He certainly showed who he is and that he's a man not to be reckoned with. Luke absolutely elevated his levels in this match, and I'm really excited to see more. Luke takes it hands down, not even close. An absolute verbal battery from top to bottom. Luke takes it. Congratulations. And my promo of the night for absolute certainty. If I could give an award for promo of the night, it goes to Luke Thompson. Someone give that man a medal. Or a title shot. Or some opportunity. He has the Iron Judge's seal of approval. Well done, Luke.